Okay, today we see dispersion or variance. Okay, I think you studied arithmetic mean, geometric mean, harmonic mean, and that means averages in your uh, 9th and 10th, and also in your PUC classes also. In economics, you studied mean, median, mode. Okay, and I simply taken some examples based on median and mode. How to calculate mode and how to calculate median, and I will not go for explaining arithmetic mean. How to calculate arithmetic mean average. Okay, you go through your PUC notes or your high school level notes. Then come to the dispersion. What is the dispersion? Whatever averages you calculate, it may be arithmetic mean or geometric mean or harmonic mean. That average is the central value. Average is the central value. Then to know the strength and to know the accuracy of that average, some people may accept the average, some people may not accept the average because of the reliability of the average. Okay, whatever average you calculate, that average is a reliable average. One is to accept it. Therefore, to know the reliability of the average, we calculate the dispersion. Dispersion means how far the values are there from the mean. How far the values are dispersed from the average. If the values are dispersed so away from the mean, that is not a useful mean, or that is not a useful average. Whatever the value is there, values are there, all the values are to be near to the average, Whenever they are near to the average, we can accept the average. For example, one student scored uh, 80 marks in one subject, and another subject 30 marks. 30 marks one subject, 80 marks another subject, then average is 80 plus 30, 110. 110 divided by 2 is 55. 55 is the average. Okay. So that 55 average is not the acceptable average, because in one subject there is 80, in another subject there is 30. Okay. These 30 and 80 are far away from the average. So one cannot accept this, as his score is on an average 55. Okay, we can say that his average is, his marks is 30 marks in one subject and his marks in 80 marks in the another subject. It is acceptable. But the average 55 marks is not acceptable, because he is not a average student. He is not a average student. He is expert in one subject and he is a dull. He is dull in the another subject. That is the actual mean. Therefore, mean is not acceptable. So for this type of examples, for this type of reasons, we calculate the dispersion. Dispersion means how far the values are dispersed from the average value is called as dispersion. So we calculate the dispersion. Okay, so the meaning of dispersion. Dispersion, it is the measure of the variation. Measure of the variation of the item. Variation of the item means how far away from the mean value. How far away from the mean value. What is the difference between the mean and the each value? What is the difference? For example, I'll give you the example of your BCom first sem result. BCom first sem result. In BCom first sem, you appeared for 7 subject. Okay, 7 subject. 7 subject you appeared, and one subject you scored 95 and 92, 93, 94, 96, like that. If your score is above 90. above 90, and you calculated the average, your score, average score is 91%. Okay. What is, how you calculate the average? You take the total of 7 subject divided by 7. That is the average. Okay, that 7 subject average is 91%. Let us consider average is 91%. So in that 91%, in the 91%, your subjects are near to 91. One is 93, another maybe 89, 87, like that. Your values are near to 91. And other one student's score is different. In some subject he scored above 90, and in some subjects he scored near to 45, 46. Then his average is, let us consider 80%, 75%, and that is not acceptable. So to know the variance, how far away from the mean value, we apply the dispersion. Therefore, it is the measure of variation of the item. Variation of the item. According to Swagel, the degree to which numerical data tend to spread, the degree to which the numerical data tend to spread about the average value. About the average value means mean value. From the mean value, how far that value is there. Finding the degree to which the numerical data tend to spread about the average value is called variation. Variation or dispersion of the data. One may be, let us, I'll give you an example. You see here, the average score is 80 marks. Okay, your score is 80 marks. In one subject, you scored 20 marks. In second subject, you scored 90 marks. And in the third subject, you scored 45. And next, 98. Next, 95. Then 87. 78, 94. Let us consider these are the 7 subject marks of your BCom first sem. 20, 98, 45, 98, 95, 87, 98, 94. Okay. You may calculate the average also. You take the total of these and divide by 7. And simply I have taken as 80. Okay. It is not exact average. Remember this. Then how far these 7 values are dispersed from this average? You see the first value is 60 points far away, from 60 points far away from the average, that is 20. And this is 10 difference, and this is 35 difference, and this is 18 difference, this is 15 difference, and this is 7 difference, and this is only 2 difference, and this is 14 difference. Okay, difference is like this. To know the difference between the mean value, how far away from the mean value. Okay, to know this we can call the dispersion. Okay, dispersion means it is the measure of variation of the item. Variation of the item, and this is the definition given by Swagel. The degree to which numerical data tend to spread about an average value is called the variation or dispersion of the data. You remember this point for 2 marks. What is dispersion? Okay. This is the meaning of dispersion. The next is different methods of measuring the dispersion. There are 2 methods of measures. One is absolute measure, another is relative measure. Absolute measure of dispersion is calculated on the basis of absolute unit of measurement. Absolute unit of measurement. Absolute unit of measurement means absolute number. On the absolute unit of measurement, if you calculate the variation, that is called as absolute variation. There are two types of variations. One is absolute variation, another is relative measure. Absolute measure, relative measure. Absolute measure means absolute physical unit of the measurement is considered for finding the variation. For example, if age is there, age of the students is there, variation is calculated in the age itself. Age itself, that is called as absolute measure. In the relative measure, we calculate the relation between the mean and the relative value, its value, relative measure. So we compare the mean in the form of any one unit. If the variation is compared with any one unit, or in the percentage form, or in the fraction of a unit, that is called as relative measure. In the relative measure, we will not consider the physical units, we consider one unit. We consider one unit or percentage for the purpose of knowing the relation between the value and its average value. That is called as relative measure and absolute measure. Remember this. Absolute measure, we calculate the variation based on the actual unit of measurement. Actual unit of measurement. Then in case of relative measure, we will not consider the actual unit of measurement. We consider the one unit or percentage to compare the value. That is called as relative measure. Okay. Then here are the methods of dispersion. First is the range. Range is the first method of finding the dispersion. How far the values are dispersed. Range. And second is the quartile deviation. You already calculated the quartiles. Okay. First quartile, second quartile, third quartile. Three quartiles you calculated. And you take the first quartile and third quartile. Difference between these two is taken and divided by 2. That is called a quartile deviation. First you calculate the quartile and apply the deviation means dispersion. Quartile deviation means you apply the first calculate quartile, then calculate the dispersion. How far they are dispersed. Okay, in this case you are able to solve the problem based on quartiles. Quartile first you calculate, then calculate the dispersion. This is the second method. First method is range. Second is the quartile deviation. Third is the mean deviation. Deviation or dispersion is calculated on the basis of mean, means average. Average means it may be arithmetic mean, means arithmetic mean, median, mode. It may be calculated on the basis of three factors. One is mean, another is median, third is mode. On the basis of these three, we have to calculate the mean deviation. Okay. I'll go stepwise, you don't worry. Mean deviation, and fourth is standard deviation. Okay, standard deviation is square root of mean deviation, or standard deviation is the square root value. Okay, there are four methods of dispersion. Four methods of dispersion. I'll take one by one. The first method of dispersion is range. Okay, range. In the range, there are two measures. There are two types of measure. One is absolute measure, another is relative measure. Remember this. Absolute measure is calculated based on the actual value of unit or physical units, and in the relative value, relation is ascertained based on the per unit or percentage. Remember this. Okay, first I'll take the range. Okay, what is range? What is range? Range is the difference between the highest value and the lowest value of the series. Remember this. What is range? Range is the difference between the highest value and the lowest value of the series. Lowest value of the series. Okay. R is equal to, range is equal to H minus L. You may take this one. H means highest value, L means lowest value. Lowest value. Or you may use the second equation. R is equal to, range is equal to L minus R, L minus S. L means largest value, S means smallest value. Remember this. Don't make it confused. Okay. So H or L means highest, H means highest, or L means largest value of the series. L or S means lowest or smallest value of the series. Okay. This is the range. What is range? Range is the difference between the highest value and the lowest value of the series. I will give you your example. Your BCom part 1 score. For example, in your BCom first sem, there are how many subjects? There are 7 subjects. Let us consider here 7 subject score. In the first subject, language you scored 85. I will take the example of one student, 85. English score is 45. English score 45. Then financial accounting paper 1 is 98. Then next subject is secretarial practice. In secretarial practice, 86 is your score. Then next is business environment or marketing management. Its score is 79. Then next is economics. In your economics, you scored 80 marks. Okay. Then in the last subject, Indian Constitution, in the Indian Constitution, you scored 69. 69 marks. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 subject. Okay. Then these are the values. Okay, these are the values. Then what is range? Range is the difference between the highest value and the lowest value. Range is the difference between highest value and lowest value. What is the highest value in this? Highest value in these values. Highest value is, I think it is 98. 98 is the highest value. Then what is the lowest value? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lowest value is 45. Okay. Difference between 98 and 45. What is the range? Range is
53.
53. Is it 53? 53. This is the range. Okay. You may call highest value and lowest value. You take any one form. Highest value, lowest value, or largest, smallest. Okay. This is called as the range. Okay, this is the range. Range is the difference between highest value and lowest value. Then coefficient of range. Coefficient of range means relative value. Coefficient of range is equal to relative value. Absolute value L minus Yes, range. Range is equal to highest value minus lowest value. That is the range, that is called as absolute measure. If you calculate the relative measure means average. If you want to calculate the relation, then highest minus lowest divided by highest plus lowest. Highest plus lowest. Okay, highest plus lowest. Or largest minus smallest divided by largest plus lowest. In this way, you have to apply the equation. Okay, you see this. 5 is the first value, 8 is the second value, 12 is the third, 19 is the fourth, then 22 is the fifth, and 25 is the last value. 25 is the last value. So highest value is 25, lowest value is 5. Then coefficient of range is equal to 25 is the highest minus lowest is 5 divided by highest plus lowest. Highest is 25 plus lowest is 5 is equal to 20 divided by 30. 20 divided by 30. 20 divided by 30 is called as coefficient of range. Coefficient of range, relative measure, 2/3, 2 by 3. It may you express in fraction 2 by 3, or you may express in percentage. If you want to express in percentage, multiply by 100. That is 67% nearly, 66.67% nearly. This is called as coefficient of range. Okay, coefficient of range. In this way, you have to calculate the range. If they ask to calculate the range, there are two range. One is the absolute measure, another is the relative measure. Relative measure is nothing but coefficient of range. In the absolute measure, only range. If only range is calculated, that is absolute measure. Absolute measure. Coefficient of range means relative measure. Remember these two. And this is the equation. Okay. Then for individual series, how to calculate a range for the individual series? If the individual values are given, if the individual values are discrete series is given, range absolute measure is equal to L minus H minus L. This is the equation. Coefficient of range is equal to highest minus lowest divided by highest plus lowest. Okay, I'll give only one equation. You remember only one. You don't take the both equations. You don't take both the equations. You take only one equation for your study purpose. I have given both the equation, which is feasible and comfortable to you. You select one, any one of these two. Okay, you take range is equal to highest minus lowest. This is the first equation. Otherwise, you take the second, or you forget this. Okay. Then coefficient of range, this is the equation. Highest minus lowest plus highest divide by highest plus lowest. You forget the next part. Okay. This is for discrete value. Means as I already explained there. Okay. Your marks. Discrete series. Then for frequency distribution. If frequency distribution is given in the problem, then how to calculate range. Mid value of the class intervals are found. If the mid values of the class intervals are given, the difference between the highest and lowest value would be the range. If the one values are given and the another column frequencies are given. Okay, x values, first line or first column x value, second column frequency. That is called as frequency distribution. Frequency distribution, discrete series. At that time, highest value minus lowest value in the x column. Don't consider frequency. Don't consider frequency column. Okay, highest value, lowest value. If the classes are given, if the class is given, then mid value of the intervals are found. Difference between the highest value and lowest value is called as range. Difference between the highest value in the given class, in the given mid value. In the given mid values, you take the highest value and lowest value, take the difference, that is the range. And if you want to calculate coefficient of range, highest minus lowest divided by highest plus lowest, that is the coefficient of range. Okay, this is the point of calculation. According to this method, we find the difference between the lowest limit of the first class interval and upper limit of the last class interval in the series would be range. Difference between, if the class is given, lower limit of the first class is the smallest value, upper limit of the last class is the highest value. You select. Highest value means last class upper limit. Lowest value means lower limit of the first class. Lower limit. Then you calculate a range and coefficient of range. This is for the continuous series. This is the method of calculating the range. I'll take one or two examples in the next class. Okay. Next, come to the quartile deviation. What is quartile deviation? Quartile deviation is half of the interquartile range. Interquartile range means first quartile and third quartile. First quartile and third quartile difference is called as quartile deviation. QD. Okay. So in this case, if they ask to calculate quartile deviation, first you are able to calculate quartiles. How to calculate quartile I explained in the previous classes. In the previous class, I explained how to calculate the quartiles. You be perfect in the median. You be perfect in calculation of median, and only change is in the n and denominator. Put R. Okay, quartile deviation. Quartile deviation is the half of interquartile range. Upper quartile, lower quartile. Lower quartile means Q1, upper quartile means Q3. Okay. Difference between the Q3 and Q1 is called as quartile deviation. Okay, it is the quartile deviation. It is also called semi-interquartile range. Semi-interquartile range, we call it is. Okay. It is very simple. First you calculate quartiles, Q1, Q3. Then Q3 minus Q1 is called as quartile deviation. This is simple. And if they ask to calculate coefficient of quartile deviation, is to be calculated on the basis of Q3 and Q1. Q3 minus Q1. This is called as QD. QD means absolute measure. Absolute measure means QD, quartile deviation. Q3 minus Q1. We can express in the physical unit. Okay. Then coefficient of quartile deviation is to be expressed in the relative form. You have to express in a relative form. So if you want to express in a relative form, that is called as coefficient of quartile deviation. Coefficient of quartile deviation is nothing but relative measure. If you want to calculate relative measure, you calculate Q3 and calculate Q1. There is no need of Q2. Okay. Q3 minus Q1 divided by Q3 plus Q1 is the coefficient of quartile deviation. It is expressed in the form of 1 unit. Okay. So you are able to calculate quartiles in the different ways. Then it is application of quartile deviation equation is very simple. Okay. Then calculation of quartile deviation for individual series. Individual series. First you calculate the Q3 and Q1. Then apply the equation. Then apply the equation. These are the equation. Q1 is equal to n plus 1 divided by fourth item. N plus divided by fourth item. Q3 is equal to n plus 1 divided by 4 into third into 3 item. R value. You put R value. You put R value here. Then QD is equal to Q3 minus Q1 divided by 2. Q3 minus QD divided by 2 is the QD quartile deviation. Then coefficient of quartile deviation is equal to Q3 minus Q1 divided by Q3 plus Q1. Okay. In the quartile deviation, you have to put divide by 2. This is to be divided by 2. Remember this. QD is equal to Q3 minus Q1 divided by 2. I forget to divide it. Okay, this is the equation, correct equation. You remember this. Okay, this is the point relating to quartile deviation. Okay, then how to calculate quartile deviation from the discrete series? How to calculate quartile deviation for continuous series? Okay. The equation are only two. Remember these two equations. Quartile equation. QD is, this is the equation for QD, quartile deviation. For coefficient of quartile deviation, this is the equation. But problem arises regarding calculation of quartiles. How to calculate quartile for the ungrouped data? Then how to calculate quartile for the grouped data, discrete series? Grouped data, discrete series. Okay, then how to calculate quartiles for the continuous series? In the continuous series, there is a inclusive class and exclusive class. How to calculate for inclusive class, exclusive class? You make perfect regarding quartile deviation, calculation of quartile deviation. I have solved some examples in the previous class. From those examples, you be perfect regarding how to calculate quartile for the only number is given, only numbers are given, that is called as ungrouped data. Then second form of example is value of X and frequency, that is grouped data discrete series. And third is continuous series, classes and frequency is given. In that there are two types, inclusive class, how to calculate quartiles, exclusive class, how to calculate quartiles. Okay, if more than frequency is given, how to calculate quartiles. If less than frequencies are given, how to calculate quartiles. These are the 6 type of different methods for calculating the quartiles. You be perfect in calculation of 6 type of examples. Okay, quartiles. Then it is very easy for application. In the next step, you have to apply QD is equal to Q3 minus Q1 divided by 2. Quartile, coefficient of quartile deviation is equal to Q3 minus Q1 divided by Q3 plus Q1. This is the equation you remember. Okay, you practice the calculation of quartiles and median mode. Okay, this is enough for today. Tomorrow I'll take some examples based on quartile deviation and range. Range and quartile deviation. Tomorrow I'll take the examples. And I think tomorrow is the election. Okay, you are asking about the exams. Your first test will be in the first week of next year. Next year, January, your first internal test will be conducted. The question paper is of 20 marks. 20 marks question paper. And in my question paper, in your statistics question paper, I asked multiple choice questions. First 10 questions carry 1 mark. First 10 questions are 1 mark question, and remaining 5 questions are of 2 marks questions. 2 marks questions. So you have to sit along with pen and paper. You have to sit along with pen and paper and calculate the question and find the answer given in the multiple choice. Find the answer given the multiple choice and put the right mark or select it. This is the point you remember. The test will be online test. Test is online test. So my questions are 15 questions. Statistic questions are 15 questions. Out of 15, 10 questions carry 1 marks each. 1 marks each. Remember this. Okay. Multiple choice questions are there. Answer is there. You have to select the answer. You choose the answer and put the right mark or select it. 10 questions, 1 mark. Question number 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 are 2 marks questions. For that, you have to solve the question in your notebook or pen paper and choose the answer. This is the point you remember. Okay, and inform your all friends. And all the students are not attending my class. I don't know what is the problem. Whether problem is with my side or your side. Okay, I am taking the class to you people, but you are not showing positive response. Okay, if any problems are with my side, you inform me, I'll change. I'll try to change it and I'll make certain changes in my lifestyle. But don't be absent for the class. If you are absent, you go through the YouTube. Today onwards, I am uploading the video to the YouTube. You go through the YouTube and study. Everything is in your hand. Okay. If you are having the problem of mobile, internet, and the problem of finance, I'm helpless. Okay. If you are not having mobile, if your friend who is having the mobile, you take the help of your friend or any others and go through the YouTube channel already uploaded in the YouTube channel, and I'll send the link today. Okay. Question paper. Any doubt about the question paper? Simple questions I asked for you people. You can answer. I completed the question paper within 15 minutes. 15 minutes I completed, and 30 minutes is more for you. Within 10 to 15 minutes, you can complete the question paper. Your question paper contains constraints from the first chapter to the last chapter up to the last unit, that is the quartiles. Okay. Mode, yesterday I explained, a day before, yesterday I explained mode. Before the mode, what I explained, you go through all the videos. Okay. Median, mode, and graphs. First introduction chapter, second diagrams and graphs, third unit the partition values. Partition values is for your syllabus. Okay. You go through the videos, you will get all the answer for the question. Okay, it is enough for today. We will see tomorrow. Huh? Tomorrow, will you attend the class or you want holiday tomorrow? If you want holiday, I'll put holiday for tomorrow. Tomorrow is election. So if you want holiday, I'll not take class. Anyone answer me? Holiday. Okay, enjoy. Inform your other friends to attend the class or go through the YouTube. Okay, I'll see your notes in during the offline class. Thank you.